Hello.
Hello, family.
How y'all doing out there?
Thank you for hearing us out.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And today is a quite interesting and
Yeah.
perplexing
It
day for
was.
us.
Yeah, because like I said in the last episode, I feel like we've talked about all the things in particular
Mm-hmm.
that we want to talk about, all the the real subjects and stuff that really hone down on what it is that we think
Right.
ought to be done about this particular situation. So now it's more of a just everything else,
Right.
the world we're in and all that stuff. And so I was reading
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, as I told you, I was reading the a story by old boy that wrote Brothers Karamazov,
Uh-huh.
Dostoevsky,
Right.
but this time it was Notes from the Underground,
Mm-hmm.
Notes from Underground and not the Underground, whatever.
Right.
But and I told you this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time,
Right.
and I read it yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and I read the whole thing. It took like 3 hours. It's a short story. It's not
Right.
very not real long
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And I remember at the end of it, I remember talking to you like when I first started the book.
Mm-hmm.
I had said that I don't know if this would be something that like we could read together
Right.
or a book that you would enjoy because it's this guy who who is reveling in what I said yesterday his his omnipotent impotence,
Mm-hmm.
his all encompassing weakness,
Mm-hmm.
his self destructiveness that that has poisoned his life and has led him to living in a life of solitude or what he calls underground.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and but there was one chapter in particular in the whole story, kind of that really interested me and it really got me thinking about the nature of the things that we want,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or why we want them, because we've said many a times before that we are not the first ones,
Right.
to have this conversation or the first ones to think that, we've cracked the code and we, have some idea on how to better humanity and,
Mm-hmm.
the world that we live
Mm-hmm.
but all of that kind of, I called that, I started to question that yesterday, particularly after reading this. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because in this, in this book, he talks about how there are people who are looking to perfect humanity in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. They are trying to better us and they make all these arguments about, our world and who we are and that the reason why people do the things that they are doing right now, or the reason why people do bad things is because society does not allot to them the opportunity to do something good,
Agreed. Yes.
right? That
Yes, you know.
that
Yes.
their hands have been tied, and that
Uh-huh.
if society were to give them the choice between doing something good and doing something bad,
Mm-hmm.
they would choose to do something good. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all about trying to find a way to make society give people that choice,
Right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this chapter kind of calls that into question,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it made me ask the question of, well, if humanity is capable of great, like I said, of great intelligence and
Mm-hmm.
great stupidity, we were talking about this yesterday, if we're capable of good and evil,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all know this. We all accept that about our nature.
Right.
Then, well, what exactly is the problem?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I mentioned that I think that balance is the problem.
Mm,
And what I mean by balance is a certain type of understanding and acceptance. And I mentioned like an example with death,
mm-hmm,
right? we know, that people are going to die. We know that people are going to die.
Mm-hmm.
We accept that people are going to die.
Mm-hmm.
What we have a problem with, what's the wrong, I'm gonna say, in that is how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is, let's say
But
there's
it
a
happens because of the carelessness of,
right, like if you are 108 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and you die,
Mm-hmm.
that's we totally understand that, we accept that.
Mm-hmm.
We do not accept, or we look at it as a problem or it's evil when you drag an 8-year old in the alley
Mm-hmm.
and shoot him and murder him, because of some gang initiation or something like
Gang
that,
violence.
gang violence or whatever the case may be. That we see as a problem. That is evil.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you have both the death, but it's one that we can understand, we can accept, and there's another that's
It's completely
that's
separate.
egregious. That's terrible. So I think that's the one of the issues.
But like I said yesterday, then where if the problem is balance,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That these things in nature or in theory, in a sense,
Okay.
we can understand them as expressions of
Mm-hmm.
our reality.
Mm-hmm.
But when they are, we can accept them in one way, but not in the other.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
We have
Yes.
that's the problem.
Right.
It's not death in itself,
Self. Right.
but the form that it's taking.
Right.
It's not evil in itself, but the
Mm-hmm.
form
Form
that
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 is
evil is taking.
correct.
You know, and I always say, well, evil doesn't have a form. You know,
Okay.
like I said, before
Mm-hmm.
that it is the absence of
Okay.
form. It is the absence of anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then like evil is a perception. It's all in what you perceive and all in what you give, in a sense,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
right? So where is the imbalance? Where is the problem? Well, obviously, evil to us is that which we suffer under,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm. It's not, and understand, it's not that we are suffering, because people suffer.
Mm.
Suffering is we're not the only people to have suffered, and we're not the only people who are suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's the way that it's happening, the way that it's being even manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that there are things put in place to make it much more difficult to make you suffer. So you're not just suffering, just because, you know, on your own accord. Let's put it that way. You're suffering because of something that's being, I'll say, that's being done. If that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense, you know.
It's kind of like with climate change. I remember I
Mm-hmm.
talked about this before, and I said that it would be naive of us to assume that the ice was just going to stay the ice forever. That all that
Right.
frozen ice is going
No,
to
it's
stay
right.
frozen forever.
Right.
That nothing
Right.
nothing ever stays the same on Earth. Geographically, topographically,
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Right.
It's always changing.
Right.
But there's a difference between the Earth going through a natural change, a
Right.
natural shift that is causing these things, and greenhouse gases that are being released by what we're doing.
Right.
There's a difference between something, that, this is just happening to
Right.
something that we're causing.
Right.
We're causing this to happen. And we are not prepared.
Right.
Nothing about us is prepared for the type of change
Mm-hmm.
that we are inflicting on our planet.
Right. I mean, it's right.
So like I said, there's a difference between, like you said, there's a difference between, a natural death
Mm-hmm.
and being murdered,
Correct.
right?
Right.
But
And
that
it's the
goes.
same thing even with like the suffering. We think of suffering as a problem, like it's a problem.
Mhm.
And like I said, when your suffering is, I'm gonna say, manufactured,
Mm.
that's the problem. You're not suffering, from anything like the word natural. Because like I said, people, have suffered. I mean, it's a part of life, like a life cycle. You have ebbs and flows. You have ups and downs.
Mhm.
It's just that the way that things are happening, particularly when you think that it does not have to be happening or that it shouldn't, be happening.
Well, why is it that you think that?
Well, I think that there is there is more than enough for all of us to eat,
Hmm.
for all of us to eat, healthy. You know, there's there's more than enough for us to live,
Hmm.
and yet we have people who are starving, who can't live. Literally, I can't afford a place to stay. It's ridiculous.
Hmm.
Like those type of things.
Hmm.
You know, that's done. The reason why there isn't enough to eat or places is because of what is in place. You know,
What
greed in particular. Those type of,
humanity is
yes,
inflicting on itself.
yes. That's why. It's not because you know.
But if.
I'm gonna take it's an example that I'm pulling right now from a fictional book,
Mhm.
Things Fall Apart. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, remember Unoko? That's Okwanko's father, right?
Hmm.
And his family was really poor, right? And so he would try to grow the yams and cassavas, whatever the case may be, and but yet he wouldn't. You know, you're trying to till in land that's already been tilled. You're
Hmm.
cutting corners. So therefore, if that's why you're getting the results. There was even a uh so we see that as that's something that you're doing,
Hmm.
right? Then remember, there's also like there was some type of locust or whatever it was, and there was a problem with the the growing season, and Oquanka was like, man, I hope my yams are fine. But his yams ended up being just fine. But there was another family where their yams were completely was destroyed. And man, he took his own life. Those type of things.
Hmm.
You can, you see where, okay, that's because you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and this other
Hmm.
suffering is from this locust or whatever the case may be. So you can understand
You can
the you
rationalize
you
it.
can rationalize those two,
Hmm.
but what you can't rationalize is another people coming in, and we're gonna take everything, and now you got to go to more, and we're gonna try to like sell or do create something else, and now no one has yams, or
Yeah,
it's
but like I said, if if we understand that people do evil
mm-hmm.
and that doing evil is a
And
part
hold up,
of
okay, yeah, keep going, keep going.
that doing evil is a part of the human experience in a sense that humanity is capable of it, right?
Okay,
So if we understand it, that's what I'm saying. So where is the imbalance? Where is the problem? If we know that
well, the problem is
being good and
always,
being evil, all of that is a part of being human.
the problem is a result. It's a result based, I think, type of answer.
Hmm.
Okay, you know, it's what occurs when this particular thing happens. Yes, we know that people are capable of doing great harm,
Hmm.
of doing evil.
Hmm.
You know, we don't want that to happen. We
We
know
don't.
that we don't. but we know that it does happen. These type of things happen. And so when they happen, now we have to live with the results
That's the thing.
of what
I don't know if
happened.
we don't want that. I
Well,
can't say from any like sure objective measure that is not what we want. That suffering is
hmm,
something that we that causing pain and doing evil is something that we don't want to do.
hmm.
It's easy that's
It's
real
well,
where
okay,
my
yeah,
problem
right, okay,
comes
yeah,
from. It's easy to look at our world and then find all the reasons why people justify the evil that is happening.
yes, yeah,
You know, but like I said yesterday, we could if we were to make a perfect world where everyone was provided for, where everyone got everything that they wanted, there was going to be a person would come up and say, "Well, let's not do that.
mm-hmm,
Let's not be perfect. Let's not try to provide for everyone. Let's do something else,
mm-hmm.
something like this."
Right. So how do
And
you
then that
how do you
person,
respond to
but
that?
that's not the problem. The problem is, like I said, that person is going to have followers. That
Yeah,
person is going to get people who are going to want to do that.
right. Well,
So maybe is all of these things that seem like well we don't really have a choice. This is what we really want.
the thing
Is
is
like
about creating something that's that's that strives to try to, I'm gonna say, prevent that. And what I mean, and now I'm thinking about Frederick Douglass. I don't know. Okay, you remember when Frederick Douglass? Okay, he had already escaped. I think he's in New Bedford,
yeah.
Connecticut. Okay,
Hmm.
and so he's in the black community, and everyone's working. And so there was this one guy that gets into an argument with another guy,
Uh-huh.
and
I remember
the
this.
right,
Yes.
and so the guy that he's arguing with is an
Slave. Yeah.
escaped slave, right? And the guy that he's gotten into the argument with says something, smart like,
I
you know, I'll
turn you in.
I'll turn you
Yeah.
in or something
Stuff
like
like
that,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And then everybody can hold up, ding, 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 they ring the bell, hold
They
up.
had a community
They
meeting.
had a community meeting, right? So they go to the community, they're sitting there,
Yeah.
whatever, and then it's like,
All right.
all right,
Get
get
them.
them,
Yeah.
right? So
Because we don't even joke about that, bro.
right, we don't joke about that, and
No.
he's able to escape the melee, and of course they never hear from him here
Hmm.
again, and so everything is
Yes.
sort of so that's what I'm talking is that even something like that, you know,
So people would choose to do harm.
yes, particularly if they feel like it's a way to control you, a power trip,
No, I
people
mean
in their
like
egos,
in the in the story you just told,
yeah,
they tried to kill this man.
yes they did, they tried, yes,
So
yes,
that's it.
yes.
So they would choose to do harm,
Yes, if the harm, that's what I remember. I said, it's all in how you
rationalize
rationalize it, right?
it. Uh-huh.
Because he was trying. He well, jokingly, I don't know if he was,
In the heat of the
in the
argument,
heat of this
he
argument,
said
he
something
says
stupid
something like,
that raised the eye of the entire.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, and so it's like, no, we can't.
and like I said, we wouldn't even joke about that. And
No,
they tried to
no,
kill his man.
yes, yes,
They legitimately tried to kill his
they
man.
legitimately tried to kill him. It was a whole fight, beat up, and
Mm-hmm.
everything else, but he was able to, escape.
Escape. Yeah,
Yes, because that's,
behind the argument,
yeah, especially if you say,
but he said something a bit too far. So
who, yes, if
every
you talk, because
so that's acceptable.
the thing is that, hold on,
All right.
yes, hold on, because what he said, they understand. Like Frederick Douglass is there.
Mm-hmm.
There are others
Yeah, that's
who,
really yeah.
so it wasn't just for this particular one person. You are endangering. You could, because they don't know if he's being serious or not, but they know that
They
you
took it
could.
as an absolute.
Yes, you could. That's right.
They could not take the risk.
That's right.
So they took it as an absolute threat.
Yeah, that like our entire community
Mm-hmm.
will be, impacted by this. Free and freed with the
Mm-hmm.
D. You understand me? Like the entire community. Oh, no, 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 no. Ding ding, ring the bell time.
So
you know.
that's acceptable because I hear that and that reminds me of George Bush Jr. and the whole Iraq thing is that is even if there is the slightest possibility, we must take it as an absolute certainty.
Well, the thing is that he said something
Hmm.
that provoked. It wasn't as if it wasn't.
Yeah, he
It
said
wasn't. It
something, so we
wasn't.
tried to kill him.
It wasn't. It wasn't something that was created out of thin air. There are, or you have all these people that are out there, working or whatever the
Hmm.
case, walking around, whatever, and he
But
says
oh,
this.
so that's the difference is that he actually made a threat, so that now it's okay to murder him.
Well, I'm not gonna say that it was okay to murder him, but I
But like I said,
understand. But
it's
I understood.
acceptable.
Yes, I understood. At least,
So
at
so
least,
so, so
at
about
least
like
I understood. I understood the reaction of
yeah
the.
yeah. So
Yes,
so tell me,
the
like I
difference is
said.
that George Bush lied.
Hmm.
That's the see. George Bush lied. This guy here. Well, like I said, and how okay, how many of us? And remember that you know he's speaking from a perspective. Writing this.
And I'm not saying that he shouldn't have.
Right.
I'm just
Because
saying that
because
when
the
you
thing
look
is
at.
that that has actually happened.
Hmm.
Like they have had folk, you know, to escape, you know, and someone finds out
In terms of me,
and
yeah,
turns them in. So that's a real life
yes.
experience. And they're like, no,
But
we're
I'm just
not
like,
going to.
but
Hmm?
that sounds like rationalizing to me.
I'm not saying that it's not. What I'm telling you is that, like I mentioned,
So, like I say, you can rationalize that, but you can't
no, I
rationalize.
can't rationalize George Bush flat out lying.
Hmm.
No, No, I can't. I can't rationalize that because that's something like where does that even come from? This is the example that I get. It actually comes from something.
Hmm.
What is that coming from? What is George Bush's slightest whatever? What does that come from?
It comes from that if even if there is the slightest possibility, we must take it as an absolute. This man said something in the like in
No,
the heat of the
but no,
moment. He
no.
had an argument and said something, and the entire community took it as an absolute and took it upon themselves to deal with that.
Right? Why?
Hmm.
Because
Saddam Hussein said something.
what did he say?
Like I was in line.
No, no, I'm just saying. I'm just saying because all right. So
I I hate
he's.
America. That's what he said.
As he
I
said, I
hate
hate
America. I hate
America.
America. I hate American lives. I hate them. I don't like them people.
As we said, okay,
Hmm.
all right, and so
And so
and
like
so he took it. Okay,
like this man is in control of his own nation.
so he took it. Okay.
And so I don't know what this man might
Oh
do.
Lord,
So I have to, I'm
oh
going to
my
take
goodness.
this.
Was he okay?
So I'm just
Okay,
saying. So
right.
how? Tell
So
me.
so I'm.
So people, like I said, people would choose harm. People would choose violence. People would choose these things.
Mhm.
You know.
Well,
So how is it that?
so okay, so what you're saying is that okay, so I'm sorry,
Mhm.
is that the man? I'm going back to the Frederick Douglass.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the man who threatened the other man with,
Turn them in. Yeah.
tournament that instead of trying to kill him,
I like I
that
said. I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it.
right,
I'm
right,
not saying they shouldn't have
right,
done it. I'm
right.
not saying that they did anything wrong.
Hmm.
I'm saying that from
Right.
examining the situation,
Situation.
that we say that people will always choose that thing
Not always.
that is best, that
Not
is good.
always.
That if you gave them the choice,
Yes. If you,
they would choose good.
right. Okay.
And they tried to murder this man.
Stop
They
talking
tried to murder this
crazy.
man. So that's like I said, like I was trying to prove to you. I
Uh-huh.
don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
people would choose what's good and what's right.
Now,
and what's
see,
best.
and now, okay, so now you have to figure out, well, what is good and
I
what
have to
is.
figure it out. We've already
I
decided.
know that. I'm just saying. You have to, because at that time, now, context is critical here,
Mhm.
So you're looking at the time in which this is taking place,
Mhm.
right? And what is happening, right?
Look, I just
You don't.
that reminds me
you
of
don't go around saying,
another chapter in
uh,
Chapter House Dune in Dune Chapter House.
okay. Yeah,
When
I
it was
already know where
about
you're going. Come on, go on.
with there's a chapter in that book when
Uh-huh.
Marbella
Uh-huh.
is going through the spice agony to become a Reverend Mother,
Right.
and she is seeing all of her past lives,
Mm-hmm.
all of her genetic memories laid out in front of
Mm-hmm.
her,
Yep.
everything
That's right. Yep.
that all of her ancestors had ever done.
Done. Mm-hmm.
You know, all of the horrible things that they did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when she was being exposed to all of this, being driven mad
Mad. Right.
by
Uh-huh.
this, you know, the Reverend Mothers who were administering, this, the spice agony to her
Mm-hmm.
was like, don't rationalize.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to
Yes, I
justify what
agree.
it
Mm-hmm.
is that was going on
Mm-hmm.
back then.
Right.
The barbarianism, the barbar. What's the
Yeah, but
word? Is it barbarianism?
yeah,
I might be saying it wrong. I don't think that.
that is a word.
The barbarism. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
The barbarism, the savagery.
Right.
Of,
I don't think barbarianism is a word.
Yeah, I don't think barbarianism. I think it's barbarian.
Yeah, well, she says. Yeah, yeah.
The savagery. Don't try to justify it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to try to put it in its proper historical
context. Okay.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Just
Take
judge it for what it is. Okay. Okay.
Take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing.
So
I'm just
saying.
I'm just saying.
You want me to say it on this context of like
no.
This is that.
No. I was lending it to the conversation, letting you know.
I know. I'm just saying. Yeah, you were giving me context.
Right.
Don't give me context.
No. Don't
tell me.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Don't tell me that they weren't wrong.
I'm not saying that. I don't even know exactly how it came up, but I'm just giving you the two. It was the same. It's the same. Hold on.
Right.
It was the same thing with. Remember when we just talked about death, right?
Yeah.
How we can understand the 108-year-old elderly person who dies naturally, and yet we can't.
We refuse to accept.
We refuse to accept the 8-year-old the murder of a child, right? It's just that's where that example I was pulling from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that we can understand, when this man says, oh, I'm a ratch out and get you back in slavery. We can almost understand like why they reacted.
We understand
the way that I wasn't.
But what I'm saying is that.
Let's finish. Right. We can understand that. Okay. We can't, or that we don't.
We won't.
Or that we won't understand this. Pull from the sky. I don't know.
From the sky. Did Saddam Hussein not say that he hated America?
Not that I recall, but if he may have. No. Well, then again, hold up. That's America. That's America. Okay.
Come on.
But that wasn't okay. Yeah, okay.
Is that not one of the realities? Come on.
Okay.
So even the slightest possibility must be taken as an absolute threat.
Okay, all right.
We don't understand that with George Bush. Oh, George Bush, he lying. He's a war criminal. He's all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when this happened, like you said, with Frederick Douglass and the crew that he was rolling with,
mm-hmm.
Well, we understand that. We understand that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna rationalize. I'm just leaving. Yes.
So I'm saying that we think that if we were to provide the perfect system that precludes the bad, right? That gives you the good, that gives you the choice to be good, that people would choose that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Well, if you say, I think people would. The idea of everyone like that.
So everyone's not people.
Well, they are, but when you get into the everyone and all, into those indefinite no.
It's people just not another expression of everyone.
Oh, okay, I'm just making because
I'm just saying. So
yeah, people would.
People would.
Enough people would. Yes, I think they would. I could be wrong. I think enough people would.
Enough people would what? Choose to be good.
Well, remember I mentioned yesterday several times too that I don't think that people choose good. I think there was some kind of concept.
They choose to not be bad.
That's it. That's it. It's
So
not.
our entire world is defined by evil.
Well,
So it's not good, and not being good. It's evil and not being evil.
that's I'm like because to me it seems like it's so. Why is it so difficult for us just to be good? And what I mean, like
Yeah,
why?
why is it so
Well,
difficult?
no,
You
no,
just
no.
explained it.
I know that. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. That's
Hmm.
what I'm saying. Like when when we say, like we want everyone to have, access to, clean water and food, housing, those type of things.
Hmm.
You got people shouting out the window, shouting out the pulpit, making it seem as if, oh, something is wrong with you because you want everybody to have nice things.
Hmm.
How dare you want everybody to have clean water and food and housing
Hmm.
and healthcare? How dare you want that? Something is wrong with you because you want everybody to be, you know,
Hmm.
That's what I'm like. I'm not, how am I how am I being singled out because I want everybody to have, like I don't know the basics,
Hmm.
you know, and you have folk shutting you down, created you. We got a whole system in place that literally tells us that everybody's not going to have clean water.
Hmm.
Everybody's not going to have a house. Everybody's not going to have health, access to health care or health care, period.
Hmm.
Not everyone's going to have food. Not everyone's going to have good schools. Like, we literally have that system in place right now.
Hmm.
You know, it's the American way.
Hmm.
And in order for you to even try to get, it's like a lottery.
Hmm.
It's a lottery system, so, you know, and we call that those are these American, the American ideals or whatever. Yeah,
Success story.
yeah, So, yeah, that's what majority, an overwhelming majority of the people would tell you. That's you want the American system, American idea, whatever. Well, that's what that is. That's people not having, and almost an overwhelming great bulk of your people not having. And there's a whole big, something is wrong with you if you want people to have these things.
Hmm.
What? A,
So what
a, a,
is?
a living wage?
But I'm just
you
saying. So
know?
you think that people would choose that?
You,
They would choose the good.
no, I'm thinking that they're choosing.
Oh, they would choose to not
Yeah,
be bad.
yeah, they're choosing. It's on the other side.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be this right now,
It doesn't have to be, but it is.
right?
Uh-huh.
And we're thinking that's the way it has to be, and we have to come up with all kind of, you know, laws and other foolishness.
Rationale.
Yeah,
Hmm.
to make it differently.
Hmm.
And the differently that I'm talking about is, everyone having access to
But
clean
I'm
water,
just saying.
the food,
But I'm just
those type
saying.
of things. Hmm.
So if you don't, we have an entire world that is of people who are evil and not evil, right? If that's the metric that we're using, then if the only good you could ever do is not being bad, then
Well, we're
how are
good.
you surprised or flabbergasted when people, you know,
I'm not.
don't choose to be, don't just choose to do the right thing?
I'm because what I'm maybe because it's so it's basic. And what I mean is that, you know, I don't see. I mean, I don't see why it should be a struggle for us to want, you know, people
because there's no way out of the cave.
not to suffer.
There's no way out of the cave. If evil is the cave and you don't want to be evil, but everything exists inside of the context of evil, then there's nothing you can do that can take you away from it. Not being evil still puts you in the cave. There is no good. It's just not being evil. You're still existing in the cave, in that darkness. There's no way out. So what's the point?
The good, if good is
There's no
there,
good.
if good is there, then why are we here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's more good in the world. You know, like I hear that there's more good in the world. So why are we here?
Because you can't say that this isn't good. That we haven't chosen this.
Mm-hmm. So instead of this being evil, this is good. This is just we're on a gradient.
Evil is a matter of perspective. Obviously, it's evil to us because we're under it.
Mm-hmm.
We're suffering as a direct, result of it.
Mm-hmm. And we're suffering from a. Okay, keep going. No, keep going.
So we are. Excuse me. We are suffering under it. We suffer as a result of it. So obviously, it's going to be a problem to us, but to those that benefit from it, or for those who accept the risks of it, to us it is unacceptable that you can go without a house, without food, without water. That is unacceptable. But for some people, that is acceptable. It is acceptable that, especially if we see that as your failing and not a failing of the society as a whole. We accept that if you don't do so and so right, if you don't play your cards right, you can end up with nothing. But if you do play your cards right, you can end up with everything. For us, we say, well, that's an impossibility, and it's extremely rare. Majority of people end up with nothing, or end up in the middle with, just trying not to have nothing, just on the brink, walking that line, right? But for others, as I say, for the people who are walking that line, they accept the risk. They can accept the risk that if they don't play their cards right, they can end up with nothing, right? They accept that. So how, like I said, so where is the imbalance? How is that not good then? Right? If people will overwhelmingly choose the good, or enough people would choose the good against the bad, and we are choosing this, right? Enough of us are choosing this. How is it not good? Where's the evil? Like I said, where's the imbalance? Where's the problem?
Whose game are you playing? Are you playing what game is this? Right? Whose game is this? Under another game, or under a you get different results.
Do we? Do we? You just said when you reference things fall apart, this man killed himself because his yams didn't come in. He's going to go into debt. That's a story we have seen today many a times. Was that a different game?
In the sense that, well, I don't want to rationalize, but since we're having the conversation here, is that Yunoko not planting his seeds. It's different from, well, hear me out. It's different from the man who does plant his seeds and then something catastrophic happens. Some locust or whatever the case may be that destroys his farm. His reaction to it, we see how he reacted. He reacted to it.
Like I said, we've seen that. We see that today. We see that many a times. So I'm saying, so whose game is our game? We've been playing it, right?
But what?
When has it been different? Well, in their day, it was yams and cassavas,
Mm-hmm.
maize, that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, it's paychecks, it's money, it's
Mm-hmm.
this, it's
Mm-hmm.
coins, right? But it's all leading to the same thing. So what? Like I said, it's
Okay, if you if you I see where you're going. If
hmm
you don't do it's if you don't do your work,
hmm
right? It's different from someone who does the work and gets cheated out of the work and gets
hmm
cheated out of the pay.
yeah.
Who's being robbed out of the pay.
Mhm.
That's that's
I would say that sounds like rationalizing.
so the person who works and doesn't get anything is right in the same is the same for the person who doesn't work and doesn't get anything.
Does it lead to the same thing?
But the reason why the person who works and is not getting his due is it the same as the person who's not working? Is that's not they're not even
Does it lead to the same thing?
when not getting a paycheck, being robbed versus not working at all and not getting anything?
Does it lead to the same thing?
Yeah, not having any money.
So where's the difference?
The experience,
Hmm?
I would say that.
The perception?
The experience,
Yeah.
yes,
The perception.
yes.
Hmm?
So that's not
But tell me how. Like I said, how is that different? How is that different? Like you say, what things
if
fall apart?
I
Where's the difference?
if
It all
I
leads
robbed you,
to people's
if
death.
I come in and rob you,
Hmm?
you're right. Right.
Hmm?
Okay, I could go. We could go. All, the 8-year old who dies,
Uh-huh.
the 108 year old who dies. Well, they both died.
Hmm?
It's but we still. I mean, but you were killed,
Hmm?
shot. Whatever.
Yeah.
Natural causes. Time for me to go. We react to that differently.
And I would say it sounds like rationalizing.
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm
Mhm.
just telling you what that's. I'm
So,
not. I'm
like,
not.
so
I'm not
I'm,
saying that it's
and I'm
not.
using that
So
as
so
Mhm.
so basically, it's you know what. You know what. You know what. There isn't a difference in death because you're just dead,
Mhm.
right? So you know the way that we respond to the death of a person shot and killed by the police.
Mhm.
You know, I guess we should respond the exact same way
I'm
if
not telling you what you should respond to. I'm just telling you.
well, not rationalize.
Mhm.
Okay, don't rationalize the death of someone wrongfully shot and killed by the police. Versus um, I don't know.
Well, if we live in a world that is defined by evil, how could it not be?
Because I think that we're capable of unmaking what we have done.
Of not being evil?
Yes, we can.
Let's say, like I said, and evil is a matter of perception.
Yes,
This is evil because we are suffering under it.
yes,
Yes. Right?
yeah.
Then it's all.
If
But
we
if
if
enough
we
of
see
us are
this,
choosing this, if enough of us are choosing this, like you said,
mhm,
if enough of us are choosing it, how is it evil then?
just because enough of you all are choosing it, when does that not make it evil? Just because enough of you all are choosing it?
Is that not the metric that we were just using? Well, you said
Yeah, but
enough
we
of
could
us would choose what is good, would choose to do good,
right.
then
We wouldn't
how
have
is
this.
this not good? How is this not good if enough of us are choosing this for it to maintain as it is? How is this not good? Where's the imbalance? Where's the problem?
The problem is the response. Well, the problems are
Mhm.
the response
Excuse me.
and the results.
Mhm. Excuse me. The verse.
Mhm. That's the problem.
Mhm.
The response and the result.
Why?
Why is the response the problem?
Response and the results.
The response and the results are the problems because I think we, for as much as suffering, death, just life in general,
Mhm.
I think we generally have a problem with types, the types of death, the types of suffering. That's
Mhm.
going back to what we said about the form. You know, we we always fall into these. I don't know if it's all. Well, I'm say always.
Mhm.
We always fall into this. I have something you don't have. I have more than you. So to keep that type, you know, we are willing. We have shown that we have been willing to do
Yeah, but how is that not good if that's what the people are choosing?
because it's wrong.
How?
How? How? How is it not? Just because
Mhm.
you know, for children who 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 are born with uh disabilities, and things like that,
Mhm.
at one time, you know, these children were discriminated against,
Mhm.
outright killed.
Mhm.
But we don't. But we have tried to change that, with Disabilities Act, different, to try to, you know, not do those things, even though we were doing it for, I don't know, for a long time. And then we were like, that's not.
Haven't stopped.
Have we stopped completely? No. But I would say that had we not put certain, measures into place, that even more, people who suffer with disabilities, it would be catastrophic, for them. And that's why I said, I don't know if you can ever, you know, get to a zero,
Mhm.
you know. But I think the zero is
The goal.
the goal, the striving
Yeah.
that you want. It's not that it's the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but it's like take with this the police killings, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many police killings are acceptable? For us,
Innocent
zero.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
Zero. Zero. Okay? We don't think anyone should be killed, by police.
Innocent.
That's yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have come, we, if it's a shootout, or let's say this man is, you know, literally, or a woman is literally, in the act of killing somebody right then and you shoot to prevent, that we can, we can,
Rationalize.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal is zero because even then, even with that,
Mm-hmm.
we still think maybe you could have ran over and knocked them off the person and tased them and just like
Mm-hmm.
we're still so the goal is zero.
Is it?
The goal is zero. I don't see where you know I don't see where it's not. We know the thing is that like with viruses and disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
Disease prevention, right? We don't want anyone to die from this from a disease, whatever the case may be, right? We don't want any deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. That's what was zero. You know? But we know that we also know that in the process of trying to to cure or to come up with some type of vaccine or medicine, we know because we can't come up with it in one day, you know, and we're all so now we're working against that clock,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're trying to, we don't want any debts, but we also know that in trying to come up with something that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have
People will die.
people will die. But it's not that, you know, well, if people are gonna die anyway, then why come up with anything? Why try to
Mm-hmm.
stop? Why to prevent? Because that's because you just don't let this you just don't let those things happen. You know you, you try to
Mm-hmm.
curtail.
Mm-hmm.
You just so that's
But you say, haven't showed me
hmm
where the wrong is, where the imbalance.
just allowing stuff to happen because you know it can happen. Just I mean, that's sick. I mean, well, it may not be soon. That's sick. Just like you just go so you're not gonna do anything. You're just you know nothing. You know nothing. That's sick.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm trying to ask.
Okay, what is that? I'm not understanding.
Is that all when you are people will choose to do things that are against their best interests.
Okay.
They will choose to do things that will not help them, that will not advance them. They will choose regression. They will choose violence. They
hmm
will choose these things. They will choose greed. They will choose these things if given the rationale. or they'll give a rationale and able to choose. Nature versus nurture. It's ad nauseum. You know,
Hmm.
but the thing is that
Whatever your choices are, you live in the consequences of that. Other people are impacted by your decision as well. So it's not just you. If it only just dealt if it only
but if like I
impacted
said, if
just you.
enough of us are choosing this, if we are choosing this,
And it's impacting other folk.
we are choosing.
Hmm.
You haven't told me at what point we have not chosen this, but we have not chosen to accept the rationale of the consequence of our decisions.
What I am saying is that I think that we are capable of choosing something else.
We'll all be capable of flight with sprouted wings.
Okay.
But it's like that's
Okay.
not what people have. That's not what's happening. People are choosing this. They are choosing.
All right. If this is if this is what they're choosing,
How is it wrong? How is it bad? How is it not good?
so we have to redefine good because it's not.
I think good has been defined.
What I mean is that we're not living in the the cup of evil. We're not in evil. We're in good, and there's gradients of good. Right? That's what it is. They're gradients. There are levels to this. I'm about to say
Mhm.
something else. There are levels to this, and that's what this is. All of this is good. There's just levels to it. You know, good in the middle, good at the bottom, good at the top, and all in between. It's just all good. It's a matter of perspective. You're suffering, that's a part of good. That's
Is it?
good. That's good.
Is it?
Yeah. Suffering makes you, I guess it makes you, I don't know, tougher, stronger, or just makes you, you know,
I don't. I don't.
I don't know. It's not because most of us or enough of us are choosing this. We're choosing this. And so since this is what we're choosing, you know, it's good.
How is it not?
I'm, I'm, I'm just saying that I'm saying that it is. And it's all on a gradient of good.
Oh,
What you get out of it,
good and evil.
you know, what you get out of it, it's good. It's good. Yeah. Since we're talking, it's perspective. What? It's perspective. It's
I,
good.
I, I
Yes.
don't think you understand the point that I'm trying to make.
Okay.
I
We're
don't.
choosing this, right? As you said, this is we're choosing this,
Yes,
and
we've always chosen this.
we're choosing this. We have always chosen this,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna always choose this.
Not necessarily.
No, okay, that's easy. That's all right. So not necessarily. So
Well, it depends on who's choosing.
it depends on. Okay, so it depends on who shoots.
Hmm.
Okay, so
So how is it that we make a different choice?
how is it that we make a different choice?
Hmm.
Well, if it's good, then what choice is there to make?
Good for who?
It's good. Period.
Good for who?
Good for all.
For all?
Mm-hmm.
For all of who?
All the people.
People are what?
To me, people are what?
What are people?
To me, what are they?
What are people?
What, humans? I mean, what, people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's good. It's good for all humans, you heard? It's good.
If this is what we are choosing,
Right?
if this is what humans choose,
Right?
if this is what humans have chosen,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If this is the metric upon which humanity has decided to guide and build and
Mm-hmm.
create upon,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need to walk with it. Whatever, since what?
you give up real easy.
No, I'm not giving up anything.
I'm just saying because
I'm not giving
you
up
don't
anything.
see like you just and you're not actually trying to follow the questioning here to what I'm trying to lead you to.
Okay. What's the question that you're trying to follow me and lead me to?
If I would have said during our homeschooling, if I would have said that to you, what would you have done? What would you have said to me?
What are you talking about? Explain yourself. What do you mean? No, that.
If I would have just been, what is it? If I would have just did that,
Well, I can't give you. I can't give you the answer. I can't give you the answer. I know. I know. You're looking. You see how he's looking at me.
mm-hmm.
I can't give you the answer.
Because that's not what this is about.
I know. I know. I know
So
that's
you
not.
just sighed and looked at me and said, "What is it? What is
What
it?
is
You tell me. What is it?"
It's a mess. It's a disaster. It's absolutely crazy. That's what I think is crazy. I'm going to say I think it's crazy that we don't we don't even want to try not to do this.
We all accept this is the way that it is.
Apparently, I mean, well,
Well,
I'm
enough of us.
I'm I'm the lone one in this world here because it's just me.
Yeah, no.
It's just me apparently.
No, you're not.
I know that like I mentioned, even we are capable of great intelligence,
Hmm?
and we are also capable of great stupidity.
Hmm.
It's right there within us, and we have to make the decision every day that we're here.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to fall on the side of great intelligence, or are we going to fall on the side of great stupidity?
Hmm.
Now, there are going to be those who are going to, waffle in the stupidity. I don't think they should die for their stupidity. But I also think, but I also, but I also think that we shouldn't die because of their stupidity.
Hmm?
Okay? And even on the other end, you know, I just
The other side's always simple.
no. Because what I was going to say is that because that's on the stupid side, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the stupidity. Because I was going to say on the intelligent side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that no one should suffer in the intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
and they should not inflict that on anyone else. So it's a great meeting within the individual. It's a great meeting of choice, because what you have to answer for today, tomorrow might present something else, and you have to be able to answer for that too. And I just think that today, with the entire the planet itself suffering
Yeah.
by the things that we have done, and the thing, by the things that we have done, that has exacerbated, the problem. I, th- I think we can take a step back. I'm going back to my retreat thing again. We can take a step back and just,
Yes, people.
yeah, oh, or as in the, yeah, just people in,
Mm-hmm.
and just, I don't, and not do this.
If this is what people do,
This is what people are doing. This is what people have done,
have chosen.
have chosen,
They
and
they're showing you what
so,
they are.
yeah, believe them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, they, I don't know. I think the oceans should not have all this damn trash in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people dump trash. People make trash. People dump trash. No, it should not. At least it shouldn't take a Herculean effort, you know, to clean this trash up. It's because that's
At least
something.
it shouldn't be a question of
Yeah,
humanity.
of clean of clean up this trash.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Shouldn't be going through an existential crisis while trying to do the right thing.
at least I would. That's what I think.
Well,
I could be wrong. It's out there. It's not in my front yard or whatever. I don't know.
all right. So I have this chapter here from Go to the Underground. I don't know if we're going to be able to get
I don't think because
to it.
yeah.
It's not a long chapter. We'll discuss a lot of the points that he's made.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about sometimes it is best for people not to do what is best. Right? That's pretty much the point he's trying to make with that chapter. But the thing that I want to say is that the question that it made me ask
Mm-hmm.
was, like I said, where is the problem? Where is, the imbalance?
Mm-hmm.
And this entire time we've been talking, I've been asking you, you've been answering, and I've kept saying, but that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. And I know how frustrating that can be. I know exactly how frustrating that can be. But I'd say that because, like I said earlier, is that they have shown us, we have shown ourselves who we are, right? And that if, like I said, good and bad have been defined, they have been defined. This is human good, right? We choose this. To do something else, it is such a Herculean effort. It is such an existential crisis because it is requiring us to be inhuman. It is requiring us literally to be something else, to define ourselves by a different standard, a different metric. The problem lies, like I said, in the form, right? We can accept death, but not in particular forms, right? We can accept some deaths, but not others, because others are indicative of us and not of the world we're living in. right? So we go about trying to alleviate, trying to change, trying to do all these things. But we go about it as people. We go about it as humans. And a human good always comes at the cost of someone else. The maintenance, the overall health of the society and the people and the community and the culture has always come at the cost of someone else. And we have discussed this ad nauseum throughout all
Mm-hmm.
these episodes. And what this chapter has really shown me is because people will choose the illogical because that is being human.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes to be what you are, you must choose that which is against you, against your benefit, not as advantageous, against the rational.
Mm-hmm.
You would choose the madness because in that madness, you are exactly what you are. Humanity, like I said, is madness.
Yeah.
We are beings of order in a world, in the universe of chaos. And all of our problems come from us trying to place some type of order on a world that will not bend, that will be chaotic no matter what we do. We are part of that world, but we define ourselves differently. We always change and shift and move, but we can't accept that about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Humanity is that which cannot accept. Humanity is that which cannot change. And that's the epiphany that I had yesterday when we
Mm-hmm.
were talking about
Right.
this. I've said for the longest time that I want to be a human.
Right.
I want to be the best human I can possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But
Yeah.
that's taken me away from all these things. Like I said, is I've passed up that point such a long time ago, but I just never recognized it
Mm-hmm.
because I could never accept this world as a consequence of our decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It has always had to be because of we were doing something wrong. We were failing at some point. We were doing that. And I still maintain that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also now realize that we will choose to be wrong. We will choose, like I said, it's like the person choosing to smoke because it's their right.
Mm-hmm.
They know it's killing them. They know it's hurting them.
Mm-hmm.
They know it can hurt people around them,
Mm-hmm.
but they do it anyway. They do it anyway because they will choose to do the irrational to maintain their humanity.
So that's a
But
yeah.
at the same time, choosing to be rational
Mm-hmm.
is also human as well,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that entire metric, the entire system, the table in which these things are being guided and measured and understood on,
Mm-hmm.
it fails because it is always defined in opposition to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, good. When we talked about evil, and like I said, evil was an absence of good, and much like darkness is an absence of light.
Mm-hmm.
You introduce light into the darkness, and immediately, without even trying, without any intent, without any cause, it banishes the darkness because darkness isn't anything, right? But like we said about that if you are trying not to be evil, right? You are living your entire life by trying not to be bad, then good is an absence as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They both are and are not.
Yes.
They're
Mm-hmm.
both, like I said, they're both gaps, they're both spaces, but they're also both tangible things
Mm-hmm.
at any given moment. And we are wafting back and forth, chasing and running, chasing the light and running from the dog, doing all these things. Choosing the rational and choosing the irrational. Choosing what's right and choosing what is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be right, but only knowing how to live in wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All of that, goes feeds into this feedback loop. And that's why we have been doing this for so long. That's why we have been stuck in this cycle because we have refused to acknowledge that that's what people is. We think that if we were to enlighten us, if we were to change our world, change the system in which people are operating in, that if we were to change all these things and everything else would change. And ever since we've had that realization, you know, our world has been changing. Our world has been changing. We have changed our world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have changed the system in which we're operating in, and yet here we are again.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are because we refuse to acknowledge that this is us. That is not the system. That with enlightenment, it doesn't take you any further away from the problems. It just entrenches you even deeper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that if you were, that you could give humanity like all of the upside, all of the choices, all of the cause to be good. And there are people who won't choose it. Because to be human is as much in as choosing and as much in not choosing.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to preclude these things, make impossible,
Mm-hmm.
then we have to be inhuman. We have to be inhuman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the epiphany that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all the time we've been trying to be human, superhuman, trying our best to be the best human that we could possibly be.
And the whole time is that
And the whole time
it's not to be human at all.
it's not to be human at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like I said, so what are we supposed to be then? What are we supposed to be then? If not being human, if humanity is up and down, left and right,
Mhm.
paradoxes and dead ends,
Right.
and that's what humanity is,
Mhm.
right? Then what is that other thing?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you want us to be,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say that quite like, and it caught me off guard, but I say that this all boils down to a matter of faith. It's all a matter of faith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's much like, and let
We
me
t-
let me
yeah.
explain what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in one of Plato's Socratic dialogues, right? I think, like I said, I think it's Ion, where he was talking about artists, right? And how when artists create something,
Mm-hmm.
they are tapping into something outside of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That the act of creation, is tapping into that greater thing, that metaphysical realm, the realm of Platonic idea of the gods. Really, is a certain type of divinity, and when you create something, you are creating a link on the chain that connects you to the metaphysical,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it always stuck with me. And now I'm starting to understand why. Because the entire logic here has been trying to understand humanity and lock ourselves to ourselves. To that, to
Mhm.
us, and understand that we are good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are good.
Mhm.
But to accept that is also to accept the inverse. It's also to accept the opposite.
Right.
To accept heads is to accept tails.
Tails, right.
And like I said, it all amounts to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've been trying to be good, not understanding that good is an absence, just as much as evil is an absence.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way good can be anything is that if evil is always a possibility. If evil is always there. And when choosing, we will choose to compromise the good, to curtail the evil, to rationalize the evil. We will do those things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what humanity has always been.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been madness.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute madness.
Mm-hmm.
The entire way. Wars and madness and famine and suffering and death. That has been our story here.
Mm-hmm.
Of trying not to, but always doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this that we've been talking about in these past episodes, all of this to me now seems as it is a chain, a link on the chain that is connecting us to a greater ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and when I'm saying this, I'm like, it's a matter of faith. Like, like I've always never seen myself as a religious person, but come to find out, I've been extremely religious throughout my entire life, just not in any conventional manner.
Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ.
And
Yeah.
like I said, yeah. But it's not like it's not
Right, right. I
It's not
know.
about,
Right.
that. It's about connecting yourself
Uh-huh.
to this other
Hmm.
thing.
Right.
And I was going to say greater,
Right.
but
But
that's too
yeah, this
much. I'm
yeah,
just going to say other.
other, yeah, other is fine.
To this greater thing,
Hmm.
to that thing that will be able to take you out of yourself,
Hmm.
that will allow you to guide you to be inhuman,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That's
So that's what.
that's the new question now.
Yeah. So that's what.
What is that thing?
Right.
What is the God in this new faith that I've discovered in myself?
Right. So that's what all of the 12, 13 episodes have
Evidently,
have led have led to,
in us.
and at least
Yeah.
yes, and for us
Yeah.
is that.
Because we've been wrestling with, like,
Uh-huh.
why is this so hard?
Hmm.
Why is this so hard?
Because what we have been talking about, discussing, is it is
Inhuman.
yeah, and other,
And other, yes.
yes,
Hmm.
and that's where we have arrived.
Yeah.
Is that the things that we have been discussing and prescribing
Hmm.
is for us to do something that
We've never done it.
we've never done before,
But
and
now we understand why we've never
done
it.
it right.
Why? Because it's not who we are.
It's not who we are, and in order for us to move,
In order for us to do something else, we actually have to
be
become something
something
else. Like I said, like with the police,
right. Hmm.
The police, we have to change what that is to such an extent to where it's not even the police anymore.
That's right.
To where it's not even that. It has to become something
else. Yeah. So
the same thing with us.
Yeah.
We have to change
right.
the game to such an extent. It needs to be changed so much.
Mm-hmm.
We need to that humanity becomes unrecognizable.
That's right.
It becomes
something else.
But now the question is,
What is that?
What is the God?
Right.
What is that thing
Mm-hmm.
that that I have been endeavoring to connect to?
Mm-hmm.
What is this?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Right.
Like I said, if you have any answers, if you have any ideas of what it may be,
Mm-hmm.
for me, I would very much like to hear it.
Definitely.
Because all of this, like I remember, I was stunned
Mm-hmm.
as they would engage this. It's like it really is just a matter of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's things that I won't do, all of this measure,
Mm-hmm.
all of these measures that I have been using. I've never known them as anything objective.
Right.
Like to me, I told you there is no truth, no
Right.
one truth.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why people are here, like what's the reason of life?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of life?
Mm-hmm.
I said living.
Right.
That's the point.
That's it. Right.
live.
To live. Correct.
I said we exist as we are. We exist because in the infinite universe we were bound to.
Right.
We are a possibility of the infinite, and that's why we are here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And everything else has just been us trying to give a grander purpose
Mm-hmm.
to our existence.
Right.
What all is about is living.
Right.
But I've never defined what living was. Living has always just been living.
Right.
But evidently, this isn't enough. Like it all seems so obvious to me now.
Mm-hmm.
Evidently, what it isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be something else. If this is living, then obviously the point to me has to be something else.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I am. That's the whole thing is recognizing, like I said, even like with the thing with the the 8-year-old child and stuff like that. I told you that shook my faith.
Right.
That shook my faith in Black people. I don't know why, this it's gone this way for me, but I have always assumed the inherent good of humanity.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I've always assumed that.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime, like when it was Black people, when it came
Right.
down to us, all of the evil that we've been doing has always been, like I said, it's always been a reaction. Always because of what we are living under, what
Right.
we're choosing to live under.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what that meant has changed over time.
Right.
Right? But like I said, my faith was changed. My faith was barred,
Mm-hmm.
by that murder,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it showed me that no, people will choose to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
We would choose to be bad, but I did. But it wasn't. It wasn't because we were human, but it was because the world makes it so hard to be human. That's
Mm-hmm.
always what the logic was to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it changed, but the result was still the same.
Same,
That we
right.
needed to change the world in which we were living.
Mm-hmm.
To change the way
Yeah.
that we're living.
Mm-hmm.
But come to find out, like I said, in reading this
Mm-hmm.
Notes from Underground,
Mm-hmm.
of Fyodor Dostoevsky, another, angry, depressed Russian,
right.
you know,
Another angry. Yes,
and
they
it
all
just,
are.
and it just, it shocked me because it made me realize,
Mm-hmm.
it showed me the humanity of the illogical.
Mm-hmm.
It showed me that you can't have the good without the bad.
Correct. Right.
They both are just matters of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like if evil is an absence, so is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just nothing, right? And we have been operating, like I said, in that space between the two, trying to define these things, trying so hard for these things to be something,
Mm-hmm.
but it always falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
It always falls in on itself because we refuse to recognize the humanity and the illogical for us. We call it chaos, as if to give it greater meaning. But like I said, it's not chaos, it's madness. This is
Mm-hmm.
our choice. Humans are mad. We are insane. There is no way for us not to be if we are humans.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to be something else, if we want to change and for the world to change and for all of us to be on the upside and none of the down, right? If we want that,
Mm-hmm.
we want the good, we don't want the bad. We want all of the up and the down, cake and eat it too. That's what we want. Humans don't get to have that. Humans don't get to have their cake and eat it too. You got to be something else.
Mm-hmm.
We have to change ourselves. We have to connect ourselves to something else.
Mm-hmm.
We've been connecting it to, like I said, we've been connecting it to our world, to society,
Mm-hmm.
to our laws, to our cultures,
Right.
to our various gods. And here we live in the internet age, to our internet,
Mm-hmm.
to our modern comforts.
Right.
We've been trying to connect it to all, and it's all just been us.
Yeah.
It's all just been us.
Yes. So if we,
It has to be something else.
right, we have to be something else in order to get something else,
Mm-hmm.
because that gradient of intelligence and stupidity, of
Mm-hmm.
good and evil, but that gradient, it is humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want, if we don't want, the suffering and those type, if we don't want that,
Then we have to change what good is.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
And
So yeah,
that's where we are.
that's why and it's a matter of faith. That's the epiphany.
Yes.
That happened for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
That's this whole conversation has been about. So all this has been about. That's where we are now.
Yeah.
Is trying to define what is that, like that thing that we are trying. What is the Platonic ideal,
Mm-hmm.
the metaphysical representation that we are trying to connect to,
Mm-hmm.
that we are welding our chain to.
Mm-hmm. And we do this, at least for me, I do this with the understanding that people are going to stay right here.
As we've just defined, people can do nothing else.
Right. So, yeah.
So if you like, any comments, questions, concerns, please leave them in the comments.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you.